Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Samwell Tarley the first on deck. What's up, gentlemen? New character.
Not new character, new POV.
New POV, as they say in the podcasting world.
Yep. What do you think, Kyle?
Kyle?
I mean, you want to do our one sentence thing here. It's like Sam wishes he'd done a little cardio, or like Sam can't walk much more, or, you know.
Sam's a crybaby, ended up doing something cool at the end.
I don't know that he's a crybaby, man. Like, that situation's got to be awful. No, he's not a crybaby.
Doesn't seem like many people are just sitting down to die, though.
I feel like they were. I feel like slowly along a death march like that. That's just what happens, right?
Well,
people
let's just
slowly,
say this.
one by one, fall down and die.
Sam is like actually sobbing. Like, he admits to like just walking and crying.
Yo, go fuck yourself if you think that you could first off watch a bunch of dead people attack and kill all of your friends, and then you have to escape. And somebody knocks you off a horse, like a very traumatic series of events happen, and then you have to walk for days.
I'm just saying,
He's
like,
I don't even know
days
the last
later,
time
like, all right, give it up.
He
like,
put
at some
work.
point you gotta stop.
He put in work, man.
Yeah.
Sure, congratulations, but stop crying. At some point you gotta stop crying.
No way, Jeff.
You're just gonna cry for the rest of your life because something traumatic happened to you? Grow up, Sam.
It's still happening. He's in the middle of it.
So,
dude,
I guess the short, I think we kind of tried to say it, but I'll give the short version of the chapter is basically just like what happens on the fist and Sam's short afterwards. So, I mean, we get it in weird like flashbacks and stuff, but that's like the whole gist of the chapter.
Yeah, it's the whole gist.
And then it ends with the big bomb of the big fight at the end.
Yeah.
My point is, like, you're still in the traumatic thing. Like,
exactly.
You need to be in a fight or flight mode.
He just ran out of gas,
They should have left him die, to be honest. Small Paul shouldn't have to carry him.
I think it's like partially sleep deprivation, right? Because like he says the timeline, like we're not 100% sure. He doesn't even remember how long ago the fist was, but they haven't been sleeping. They've just been like walking nonstop, no sleeping. And he says somebody broke their ankle at least 3 or 4 days ago. So we don't know how long ago the fist was, but we've been walking nonstop without sleep for at least 3 or 4 days, right?
However, the only thing, right, like that kind of confuses me on whether or not we can believe that even is at the end, they're excited that Dawn is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like it seemed like a big event. Like maybe that was the first time they're seeing Dawn.
Well, I just think they're excited because they just fell outside. Like they've been walking for however long with the group. Yeah. They just fell out and like it was nighttime.
Now they have a chance to catch back up.
Now,
I follow. Yeah, that's another possibility.
They did mention that like there was a change between day and night. Like they see a lighter
you're
sky
right. Dark and white snow or white sky or whatever.
And it's funny because I think Arya says something like that in hers because it's rainy, and then like her chapter kind of like ends when they like see the sun too, like.
And then she's like, "Oh shit, we're going south." That's wrong.
And Gren like says some things like, "Oh, there's the sun. We go east, and we know we can catch up with them now."
True. Oh, I got you. It's a direction. We have a direction now.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, for both of them, they like the.
Well, I knew Arya is, but I got it.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into it. Like I said, I said this off way. It can go one of two ways. I think we're going to probably bounce around a little bit and maybe get confused with some flashbacks and whatnot. I just did notes my normal way. I'm sure Nelson's are crazy. And Kyle's just along for the ride with whatever path we take.
I got the best job, man.
Yeah. All right. So obviously we start with him walking through the snow, and he talks a lot about it. He kind of repeats he's tired, his legs hurt. And that's all understandable. Don't get me wrong. Like, me and Nelson have just been watching alone, and we got to the part where it's 2 people and one guy's got to hike 10 miles through woods and it's not even snow. Like,
So hold on, what's Alone? Just in case anybody doesn't know.
Alone is a show on History Channel where it's basically like survival, man. Like, you get 10 things, you survive as long as you can. This season, you had a partner where one person sets up shop, one person's 10 miles away, and you have to hike to them with just a coordinate. So, or I guess a direction, not a coordinate.
It kind of makes me want to watch the most recent season. We're on season 4, which was like 6 years ago. The most recent season, which I'm seeing commercials for, is, I think you were telling me about it too, Jeff, is like in like somewhere super, super fucking cold.
It's already winter time, so like they've been dropping them in like fall and letting them prepare for winter. Yeah. This one they're dropping them straight in winter, so it's already cold.
So I was kind of thinking about that when I was reading the Sand chapters because I've been seeing a lot of those commercials. But yeah, like definitely not fun. And Sam's a big dude, right? Like he's got to be carrying.
Sam's big,
he's carrying a lot more weight.
and
than
he's
most
got
cats.
he's got something on him, right? He's got a pack, which now Snow. Like, I'm not disregarding that this walk is brutal for sure.
Well, let's start by the pack, right? That thing is way too big. He has way too much shit. There's no way he doesn't have too much shit.
Ditch it all, but that one the one dagger that we know is important now. Ditch everything else. Yeah.
And later on, it says how much he's wearing too. We know he's wearing a fuck ton of clothes. I didn't write it all down, but
I mean, rightfully so. Though again, it's frozen and like
cold.
and with the whites around, it's even colder than ever before. So like I said, I mean, you guys are giving him a hard time. I think he did.
I'm just saying, stop crying. Like you still have 50 people around you that aren't crying.
He was just like, let me die in peace. Like he's accepted it. He's like, I'm a brother of the
That's
Night's
fair.
Watch.
He wasn't
I'm
really
dying,
crying.
doing my thing.
Well, he's crying to himself. He's like, oh, woe is me, but he wasn't crying to anybody else.
Yeah, he's like, I can't take a horse. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Like, this is just it. This is where I die. He's accepted it.
Before he accepted his death, though, he was sobbing.
This is
he's been crying a lot. Yeah. The one thing I want to point out is George does this in some chapters where there's like a thing that's kind of repeated throughout the chapter. This one I think is
Mercy
like
me.
And Sam took another step, right? It's like something happened and Sam, and that's how the chapter ends too. It's like Gren's like, come on, Sam, we got to go. He's like, okay, I'll try, and he took a step, and then another, and it's just like, okay, one more step. And I don't know if anybody's seen the movie What About Bob, but it's just like baby steps to the door,
Never seen it.
baby steps to the elevator,
baby steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. So
it's one of my sister's favorite movies.
Baby steps and what is it? Oh, like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right?
Yep.
And then a proverb too.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like, I mean, it's true though. Like that's how he's got to get through it, and he's doing good. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably doing the best he can. Like
He's
out of shape. He's carrying shit, and he's fat.
He didn't want to even go out here to begin with.
So kind of early on when Sam's recapping some of his journey, the one funny thing he mentions is that his pants keep falling down around his legs because he's so fat because his belly's so round.
It's his belt, his sword belt.
Yeah, so one time he like wanted to pull it up to like above his belly,
over his
but
belly.
then Dolores says I knew a man once who wore a sword on a chain around his neck like that. One day he stumbled and the hilt went up his nose. So, but Sam doesn't have a sword. He says later that he doesn't even have a sword.
Lost his sword.
Well, he did, but yeah.
he lost.
He says that pretty quickly
here,
after it, if not even before it. He lost his sword, but he has 2 dragon glass daggers and
just one dragon glass.
Oh, was it? Okay,
and some arrowheads
and
and a steel dagger.
And a steel
which
dagger.
he's very lucky that he lost his sword, right? I mean, I'm sure that's plot reasoning, but like if he would have pulled the sword on that last guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess he could have pulled his meat dagger, but
he could have, but he was looking for the sword. So
yeah, no, definitely a good choice of weapon.
Yeah, obviously.
Lucky choice of weapon, more like.
Yeah, he didn't know, right? Like that was. Well, I guess we can talk about that when we get there.
Yeah,
we're gonna do the skipping around thing if we don't.
So early on he mentions there's a guy like it's bad going. Not only is it snowing, but like there's like roots and tripping people up. This guy Black Bernard broke his ankle a few days ago.
Well, it's like knee high snow. Like it's deep,
not good.
Like, this is miserable.
It is miserable for sure.
And all the horses are for the wounded people, which is why Sam's walking. I mean, he did have a horse that got stolen, but then it got
or pack
supplies.
He did get one stolen. I would have figured if he was able to stay on his at some point, they would have been like, all right, Sam, get off. We need this for an
I think
injured
when
guy.
they got that meeting, they like met up a few days
and
after.
Split everybody up or split all the horses.
They got redistributed from him anyway. Yeah.
So we hear that 50 men were able to flee with him. We don't hear how they fled.
What was the number?
That will come later.
300?
They were 300.
Okay.
At their fullest.
Yep. And I think that they said, in the John chapter, they said they found between 100 and 200 horses.
Mm-hmm.
What's weird though is like they didn't say they found any bodies, did they, in the John chapter? And I was like, oh, it's because it's the White Walkers. But if the White Walkers have like an undead horse here, so why not bring all the undead? You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why wouldn't the White Walkers bring all the undead horse or the others? Why wouldn't they? If they're raising all the dead,
why would they not save the undead horses instead of?
My point is, if they raised all the dead people from the fist, why not also raise the dead horses and then put all those dead
they're raising
people
bears and shit. Yeah, like why exactly? Why are animals left behind?
My thought is that the dead people, like the whites, can't ride the dead horses because we don't see a white riding a dead horse. We see an other riding a dead horse.
Yeah.
And the others seem to be like an actual race, not just like a zombie, right?
Gotcha.
And if they are undead,
that's just my only thought. I don't know.
Zombies don't have energy. Like they don't just walk zombie. Like
yeah. Who cares? You don't need. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not going to lay down the snow like Sam does.
So Sam mentions that he can see the ring of fire start to like disappear from him because he's walking slower than the rest of them.
Yep.
So I guess they just have like the outer guards all have torches to protect them. Like they found out, which we learned later they already knew from John's encounter earlier that fire was what you needed against the whites. But
it seems like Mormont too. Like once shit starts kicking off, he like remembers that too, and kind of immediately
like
he's like fire. Yeah.
I mean, maybe he thought like at first he was preparing. There's a little bit of a weird part of this chapter. I guess we'll get to it when we get there.
We can get
to it. Did he? I mean, they hear the 3 horns, so they know it's whites right away. Like you would have thought that they would have had protocol a little bit quicker to like, hey, if this weird undead thing comes, but they've already encountered it though.
This is a good question for everybody. Have they encountered this?
Well, Mormont did.
Mormont did at Castle Black.
Yes, but like, let's be real. Like, this is a completely different experience than those 2 people showing up at their house. So, I mean, you're talking about protocol for some, like, it's like, you know, some ancient, like, just bullshit tale. At least that's the way a lot of these guys think of it, right? I'm sure.
Yeah,
although until they had it seriously. But
I mean, the whole reason that they are out here on this deal is because this undead thing tried to kill Mormont, and they were like, why the fuck are the wildlings running around? All right. I mean, it's really...
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But the main point, I think, is to look for people.
Sure, but they were chilling, but because of this weird thing. Like,
it's a new threat, though, that they're not sure.
Yeah, I think the main point is to look for people, but yeah, I think I agree with Jeff that like when the others, or when the people, the dead came alive in Castle Black, that's when they're like, okay, some weird shit's going on out there. We got to go figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just saying that was the big catalyst. So if that's the catalyst for this whole thing,
exactly. Why not have some preparation?
Like,
because they didn't know. I mean, like it's still like this ancient, crazy alien.
I see what you're saying. They're not expecting an army of them. Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah. And what I was saying, like, all right, they start hearing these horns, like, oh, there's a second horn, like, oh, we got to get ready for battle. Like they're just getting battle for, like, they're probably like wildling. I'm sure it was their last thought that like a third horn was going off. But once that third horn,
know it was.
It's like kind of like I don't know, like Transformers. Like, well, shit, like our normal bullets aren't going to work. We need to switch to whatever bullets. Like,
I think it is meant to show that there's like a little bit less like belief or knowledge about them. And like clearly, like once they're like, okay, shit, this is zombies, switch to fire. Like clearly they have heard the stories that fire is what works. But like in the John chapter, as soon as they get to the fist, Mance's like, okay, all the scouts take their swords, give them torches. Like Mance commanded, we heard that in the last chapter, and like kind of to your point, if this was something a threat that they thought they were going to be facing, Mormont should have said, okay, fire arrows from the get-go. You know what I mean? Like, why not? It's fire arrow will kill a wildling just as well as it'll kill another.
Like they have
the more powerful thing, right? Yeah,
it'll still hurt. Yeah,
they have why not shoot the wildlings with fire arrows?
Maybe they're not as accurate or something. I don't know. There's got to be a drawback.
But they have the third horn protocol in their handbook, right? Like they all know what the third horn is, even if it hasn't been horned for how many times.
Yeah, that's true.
You would say like. Maybe they've never encountered it till John did to know that fire is the actual thing, but they know now. They know that fire is the thing.
Football analogy. We practice the Hail Mary every single week in practice. How often do you do the Hail Mary? Very inoften, but I know the check call, right? I know the call that gets yelled on the sideline. That's the audible for Hail Mary, even though never once in my career.
But you had to have not done the Hail Mary for like fucking 200 some years, and it's just some play you learn, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's the alumni play that everybody learns.
Though is there's a call in their playbook. We have a 3-horn blast call. Yeah. You're not going to tell anyone what to do if that happens. You're just gonna be like, hey, this is what this means. Okay, no instructions. Fighting
for normal.
Like switch to fire. Like there has to be some.
It's like the old. Like an old switch on the wall, like, you know, that like they just leave there. It's kind of like, we used to, you know.
I'm way more on Nelson's side than.
I don't expect Hail Mary to get called, but I know what the fuck to do if it happens. Because if it happens, that means we need it.
Nelson's right.
If Hail Mary is called, we fucking need it now. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing.
So here's the other thing, right? Like, they don't know this dragon glass either. Like,
well, that's a fair point. It's super fair. But they know fire. Like, they know fire. I agree with you.
I wonder if Mance knows anything about.
They might not have known fire 200 years ago or 2,000 years ago, whenever it was, but they know fire now since John encountered them. So I'm not giving them the pass. Like,
you guys are harsh today.
They know that they're out there.
I think you're expecting these dudes to be like perfect. Like these are just a lot of them are like criminals that don't give a shit. Like they're just here because it's better than being in jail.
Sure, I just think Jeff has a point that if they all know that what 3 horn blasts means, you think they know at least a little bit more than that. Like, okay, what do we do in that situation?
All right. So another kind of repeating theme is that he's begging for mercy, and he begs to the mother a lot, and then even I think something
Mercy
for the father, father for strength maybe, but he also mentions that the new gods don't have any power north of the wall. So then he starts thinking of the tree gods and the wolf gods and the gods that don't make noise. He says something like, he describes them something like that, like the gods without names maybe, or something like that.
The Septons all agree that the mother is merciful, but the 7 had no power beyond the wall. Here, the old gods ruled. That's what I have.
Yeah. This is where the old gods rules, the nameless gods of the trees and the wolves and the snows. Mercy, he whispered then to whatever might be listening, old gods or new, or demons too. Oh, mercy, mercy me, mercy me.
Demons too has to be like for the others, right? Those are the demons.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess if they're listening, you don't want to call them.
Yeah.
Because it goes right back into the first flashback then of his buddy Maslin begging for mercy to White and just getting his head basically ripped off. So
read that little paragraph, somebody.
Maslin screamed for mercy. Why had he suddenly remembered that? It was nothing he wanted to remember. The man had stumbled backward, dropping his sword, pleading, yielding, even yanking off his thick black glove and thrusting it before him as if it were a gauntlet. He was still shrieking for quarter as the White lifted him in the air by the throat and near ripped the head off him. The dead have no mercy left in them, and the others. No, I mustn't think of that. Don't think. Don't remember. Just walk. Just walk. Just walk.
Yep.
Sobbing, he took another step.
Yeah, that's our first memory of the fist, and I don't actually know where it places in. A lot of the stuff is actually pretty chronological that he remembers. It's not all at once, but it's pretty chronological. Mm-hmm. This is just like
he definitely just threw that one out there. Like, shit, I remember that guy asking for mercy.
Suppressed memory for sure.
Yeah.
Already.
So he continues to walk, and then he trips and falls, and he tries to get up, and at some point he's just like, "Fuck this! Like, I'm dying here." Like
when he had been complaining. He'd been complaining about his chainmail was pretty heavy. His pack was heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something was going on with his boots or something. I forget.
They were frozen. They're just like big white clubs.
They looked like club feet. Yeah.
When he falls, he bites his teeth, and I think it's funny. He says the blood was the warmest thing he tasted since the bites. What did I say? Bites his blood.
His teeth.
You
said teeth.
He bites his tongue, and he says the blood is the warmest thing he tasted.
That's another question. Can you bite your teeth?
Thompson's teeth, the only teeth that can eat other teeth.
He says the warmest thing he's tasted since the fist. So I thought it was like just like explains how cold it is. Also, I keep forgetting that it's nighttime. Like until at the end of the chapter, I kind of forget. I don't even know if he ever says that it's nighttime, but that makes it even more like chilling, right?
They talk about it because it's like the fire is like halo.
Yeah.
He can barely see anything.
You're right.
One thing he's like, all right, like at least if I die here, and I don't know if he goes into it all, but like at least I'll die a Man of the Night's Watch. Like I might be a bitch, and I might be Craven, and
he's not a bitch. I mean,
this is what he's saying. Yeah. He's saying it. I'm not calling him that. He said it. He's calling himself a Craven.
I'm fat and I'm weak and I'm a Craven, but I did my duty. Yeah.
Yep.
But at least when they remember, word gets down, like I'll be a.
Well, his duty was, and it's coming up here, is that it was Mormon said, like shit starts going off. Like you are the Birdman. Yep. Like get a message out. Don't look for me. You got to get word out. Like get stuff out. So I mean, he did. He got the initial one out, and then as it goes on, he didn't get too many others out, but.
But the initial one doesn't say anything about others or whites, right? It's just like, hey, we're on the fist.
We're attacked.
Yeah. There's an attack happening. Because he pre-wrote those. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was just like,
it was not on the fight. Yep.
Yeah. And he tells them, like, I don't care if you're so scared you foul your breeches. You better get those birds off or I'll haunt you through the 7 hells.
To be fair, though, he did get them off. He got birds off.
Yep.
And I think Mormont's, like, happy about that. Like, he's like, all right, now we're skipping ahead. So, like, as he's preparing, right?
Well, I just wanted to say that Mormont's Raven that gives a little sorry when he said, I like to point out the Mormon Raven, when he's like, if I'm going to haunt you through the 7 hells, or you'll be sorry. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead. So go ahead, Jeff. Sorry, whatever you were saying.
I was just going to say, we get into this is the first time we hear about Chet.
Right, that's where I was going to.
Okay, go for
it. He's getting the Ravens ready, and Chet's the only other guy that's kind of been a steward with him, like has worked probably with the Ravens and whatnot. But he's like, "Hey, Chet, like help me." And
so this is a flashback to
well, he's like glad Chet is there, not realizing Chet is there to kill him. Like that is why Chet is there.
Exactly. So you're picking up what Jeff's talking about is picking up pretty much Sam's point of view right after the Chet chapter ends. 3 horn blasts. Now Sam's waking up.
And Chet's pissing his pants, which Sam admits to pissing his pants until he runs out of piss.
Well, Sam says he has never seen as much fear in a man's face as he saw in Chet's, like when he's
Yeah.
pissing himself right there, which
And
understandable.
Chet
I
runs
think
away.
part of it is also just like what was going on with Chet at the time as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah, he was
Like,
nervous. Everything
he
was
got caught
happening. Snow
about to kill somebody.
Well, yeah, and basically snow started falling, so he's like, "Fuck, we can't do this because they'll be able to
can't
track
even
us
leave.
now."
Yeah.
So like, fuck, he's like, "Fuck, I'm gonna kill Sam anyway." It's kind of where Chet was at.
Yeah, but he takes the run away, and Sam's like, "All right, maybe he's got to go get the dogs right." That's right.
Yeah.
Like he's still gonna help.
Yeah,
us.
he immediately thinks so good of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sam does his job, doesn't know what to do next. So he's like, "All right, fuck it. I guess I'll get dressed and get up the hill." This is where it's a little bit weird. He has a lot of time here. Like he's kind of like.
So scouts, I'm guessing, not on the hill because you're right. By the time he gets to the ring wall, there's still no fighting happening. Like he's got there,
Yeah.
and like they're just giving the commands for the first like.
Like he might have
draw,
been able
lose.
to just actually like Mormont doesn't even want him up to the ringlet or whatever the fuck they call it.
Well, he thinks that here. Once he sends the letter, he gets dressed like you said, and then he's like he packs his bag just in case. I guess they have to retreat, which is a good thing
Yeah.
because they end up having to retreat.
He's got a lot of time.
Yeah, but then he's like, okay, now what? He's like, Mormont said not to go fight, but he also said not to go to him and ask him what to do. But he's like, fuck, well, I don't know what to do. So he just like got ready and followed some people because he kind of felt
Yeah.
safe with other people.
But like to this point, like he could have maybe wrote another like,
Yeah, letter.
hey, there was 3 horns were under attack.
That's true.
But that's being critical. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Bullets are flying. I'm just surprised that he had this much time because bullets are flying. Like it took the whites.
Well, they weren't,
that
though.
long
That's the thing,
to
right?
climb.
Yeah, I'm guessing just the 3 horns
Right.
must have come from further out in the woods, right? Like,
Because he showed up before the first volley.
yeah. So
Right.
like the horn didn't come from on the fist. It came from somebody,
Yeah.
like a scout or something.
Yeah.
Also interesting, Sam mentions one of the things he packs up is maps he's been making. So he's been like and I think they kind of mentioned this before they like
That was
in the
part of why he's out there.
Yeah, and like maybe the first John chapter of the last book, but like that was why he was here. Just cool. Also, Sam has saved a sausage this whole time.
It's frozen.
Some rock
He saved
hard
it forever.
shitty
Yes,
sausage.
It's the wall
Throw that out. Feed
For
it
who?
Feed it to something.
for himself. He's just saving it for a rainy day.
I thought he was saving it for. Oh no, it was Paul with the.
Yeah, but Paul's saving
Crow.
food for the bird.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
So-
not quite. Yeah,
He follows some cats up, and there's a guy named Blaine. I think it's first mention of Blaine Nelson. You can,
I think he was mentioned before, but just like in passing, like they
Yeah.
had a meeting of all like the higher ups, and he was one of the higher ups from the Shadow Tower. Yeah.
Blaine's the higher up, and he's getting ready for these archers to start shooting whites down. So they go through a couple rounds of knock, draw, loose, and
Real quick before that, Sam's thinking about stories about the others, and he's like, hears stories
Icy
of them
spiders.
riding ice spiders, and I'm pissed that we didn't get to see any freaking ice spiders. So we see an undead
Yeah, it was
bear.
on a horse with a fucking
You see an
guts
undead
hanging out
horse.
of it.
Where's the ice spider? Come on.
would you have been like, all right, if they actually rode the bear in, like, all right, at least they're riding the bear?
Well, I mean, like
Or
the
he's
other
not.
shows up at the end, like Akash said, riding an undead horse. It would have been cool if it was
Uh-huh.
an ice spider. But then
Well,
Sam
some of the
probably
story has
wouldn't
to be over the
yes,
top,
and
right?
Sam
Yeah,
probably wouldn't have
I
been able
agree.
to deal with both of those things.
So you skipped a name. Malador Locke is another one here. I know Nelson has to
Yep.
say every name that comes through.
I had that one.
I
Yep.
did not write that one down. So
He just rode by.
Sam's just kind of chilling there, and then he goes into thinking about his dad calling him a coward. So he kind of gets out of that flashback for a heartbeat,
Into a different flashback.
or in the flashback he thinks of his dad. Maybe we're still in it, but
No, I think you're right. I think he comes out of the flashback for a second, but I think you might have said it and I missed it. It's right after the knock, draw, loose. They throw him and they're like, fuck, they're not stopping. And somebody else is like, they're coming through the trees. And like, God's have mercy, they're crawling. They're almost on us. And then Sam thinking that he was like backing away, shaking
Mhm.
as much from cold as the fear. That's his line there. So even once he realizes it's zombies, he's still shaking just as much from cold from fear, which again, to Kyle's point, like, and I think we kind of been harping on it the whole time. It's like there's definitely some cold and like these guys
listen,
are related.
the next two sentences are: it was very cold that night, even colder than now.
Mhm.
The snow almost feels warm. So exactly, yeah.
Exactly. So that's how it snaps him back to now. Exactly. That was kind of why I lingered on the coldness, is because it also snaps him back to the present tense.
So when we get a little bit more, I think he's kind of mentioned the relationship with the dad, but Randall Tarley basically hated Sam forever because he was such a craven, and hated him so much he sent him to the wall so that brother Dickon could
Yeah.
could take over and have what's it? Heartsbane and
The castle.
The castle and the lands.
where are they from?
Hornhill.
Hornhill. Yeah. So, and he's got some sisters too that he thinks about later.
He's like, well, any of them even care that I'm dead?
They cry over
Like,
me. And he's like, probably not, because cravens aren't worth crying over anyway. I heard my dad tell my mom that bunches of times.
Yeah. So now they get back. He gets right back kind of into the flashback of the night, and he runs into Mormont. And Mormont's like, "What the fuck are you doing up here?" And he's like, "Hold on, wait."
Well, Mormont shows up, like I said, yelling for fire arrows. Right. Like
Yeah.
The first time we see him, he's already yelling for fire arrows. So yeah, it's just kicking off now. We're in full fledged. We're getting invaded by
give
the
them
dead.
flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarly,
And-
get out of here. Your place is with the ravens.
And he's like, "Oh, you did do your job. All right, great. Now get the fuck out."
Good. And even the Raven's like, good.
Yeah. So he goes back down and he starts preparing other messages, and he's kind of preparing some optimistic ones, and then as the battle continues to go and he just kind of hears, he gets a little bit more pessimistic every time.
Yeah. It starts off with like, oh, we're throwing them back with fire arrows, and then he can hear people like. He can hear
It's
Thor and
not
Smallwood,
working.
calling for more arrows being thrown. Someone's like, "Burn, you dead bastards!" And he's like, "We're all safe. We're good. We're still fighting amidst heavy snows." And then someone's like, "They're still coming." Like Jeff said, "Spears." And then maybe that was Malador Locke, like Kyle
Result
said, it was maybe
uncertain.
Ryan, yeah, result uncertain. Sam slowly getting there. Whites attacked us on the fist. It's snow. Again, none of this really matters because we learn later that none of these got attached to a bird at the end of the day anyway. Like he just let all the birds out without attaching any of these letters. So it doesn't really matter what they say, but
There's one thing though, like if I guess it's hard to tell like where these birds are, because obviously like every castle probably has a raven that can go to Castle Black per se. Like the North has a raven that's trained to go to Castle Black.
Well, he says he has 2 cages. One cage full of birds that go to Castle Black, and one cage full of that go to Shadow Tower.
So what I'm trying to say here is that there's a little
Other
bit of
people have cages.
there's a little bit of a message when all of these birds
show up.
to
Yeah.
Castle Black. Like, holy fuck, why did Sam
unmessaged,
let them all
yeah.
go unmessaged? What's going on? That's a little. That should be like, oh fuck, they're
An
sure.
entire
in some
flock
sort
of
way.
or murder of crows is
for
back
sure.
naked.
If they're ravens, it's a unkindness.
Like if your wife sent you a bunch of like 20 texts in a row that was just a space, you'd be like, okay, what the hell is going on here?
It's an empty bubble. yeah.
Exactly. You'd like, what the fuck? Like,
So-
raise your eyebrow at least.
All right, and then he flashes back out of it. Gren gives him a kick.
Well, it's funny, 'cause, like to your point, there gets to a point where he's just like rattling off different letters, and he said he's just going through them. We've won, we're winning, holding our own, cutting our way free, and retreating to the wall. We're trapped on the fist and hard pressed, and then a guy basically stumbles right in front of him, and then basically tries to crawl to him, and then dies like a foot from Sam. And he writes his last letter: "Lost. The battle's lost. We're all lost." So Sam is getting, like you said, just very hopeless. And when he sees this guy die right in front of his feet, that's the last straw.
Yeah. Is that the guy that gets kicked in the face, or
Not yet.
No.
okay?
So yeah, now back to present time.
Yeah. So Gren's giving him some kicks, and he's like, "Get the fuck up! Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna die here." And Sam's just like, "All right, fuck it. I've accepted it. I'm ready to die." And Small Paw comes.
Yeah, he does think that John's dead.
He does mention that a couple times.
He thinks like, oh, I'm only friends with these guys because of John. John's gone though, and probably dead now though. Like,
I mean, to be fair, right? Like John is dead to everybody. Like nobody thinks he's alive.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't even think Mormont would think he's alive right now.
Well, it's like, yeah, he's on his own. at
Yeah,
the
I mean,
very
if this
least.
shit's been running around the north or above the north of the wall.
Well, yeah, nobody else made it back from his group. Like I think,
And those other groups that were sent out did come back.
yeah,
so.
I think he's probably
Chopped
kind of
up.
the same as what's his name, Benjen. You know, like
Or like Arya
Too far
down
gone.
south. Yeah, just assumed dead. So Sam thinks he would have cried for John, but then those tears would only freeze on his face, and he was too tired anyway to even keep his eyes open.
Sir Piggy.
But yeah, he's like,
so-
why won't they just let me be? I just want to rest. That's all. Sleep some and maybe
Just
die.
trying
a
to
little.
die in peace, homie.
Maybe die a
Please.
little.
Go away, I'm dying. Like, leave me alone.
Yep. And then
I'm just
someone says,
dying.
if you can take the torch, I can carry the fat boy. And there we go. My
Small
boy,
Paw.
Small Paw.
And I kind of forgot that Small Paw was in on the whole
Oh yeah, he was on the
Killing-
murder plot.
killing
Yeah.
killing Mormont and whatnot because he wants.
But he wasn't in on the
Mormont's raven.
killing Sam plot, right?
He probably knew about it. Again, I don't know how much of they just like told everybody everything. It might have been like the Manhattan Project where you only knew what you needed to know. But
Small Paw seems pretty dense too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
they
yeah,
probably
for
was
sure.
Like, hey, you're just gonna do this one thing. And
Yeah.
You can have the raven.
yeah.
So Paul's like, all right, I'll carry you, but you have to give me one of your ravens.
Well, it's funny.
You
When
owe me a
first,
bird,
he just
buddy.
picks him up and starts carrying him. And at first, Sam's like, "Put me down. I'm not a baby." And this just reminds me of like Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. Where
Yeah.
Forrest Gump picks him up and just like Harry's like, "Put me down, Gump. I
I don't
gotta
need-
die here."
It's my destiny.
He says, it's fine. I've carried cows that are fatter than him. That's what he says.
Sam's compared to a cow here.
That's pretty impressive. It's very impressive that Small Paul can actually, like, he ends up carrying him for as long as he does.
Yeah.
But another thing, Gren is just like trying to get Sam's mind off of what they're doing. So he's like, all right, just sing some songs, Sam, or do anything. And Sam's like, fuck that. I don't remember any songs. Like, I don't want to sing. No songs.
No songs are coming to his head. And Gren's like, "What about the Bear and the Maiden Fair? Everybody knows that one." And he sings a line from it.
Yeah.
Even we know that one.
We know that one. And that just makes Sam think about the bear on the fist.
Yep. And we flash back into him
Naked ass bear.
setting. He set them all free once they were gonna retreat, right?
Well, right before the flashback is where Small Paul starts blabbing a little bit about the plan. He's like, "Oh,
Right.
I was supposed. Chet promised I could have Mormont's Raven." Like he's just straight up telling these guys.
Yeah.
And that's when he's like, "Sam, can I have one of yours? I promise I won't let Lark eat it." And that's because like when he was asking Chet in Chet chapter, like, "Can I have the thing?" Lark's like, "I'm gonna eat this bird." He's like, "We can always eat it if we go hungry after we escape, and
If we have
you won't
to,
eat
yeah.
my bird." Exactly. So
Mhm. Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, sorry, I let him go," which now flashes him back to a new horn ring that signals retreat, right? Ahoo, ahoo, ahoo.
yep, short, long.
Retreat. It's Morse code, probably.
Well, I was thinking in the last Arya chapter too, because when they get to like the village where everybody's hiding, and then I think Jeff, you said it was like the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. Jack B. Lucky does 2 long blasts and then 2 short blasts, or vice versa. It's 2 of one and then 2 of the other. And at that time, I was thinking, is there a nice watch for that? But I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not that we know. At least.
So we get another
Pretty rudimentary horn code, right?
Yeah,
Like
basic stuff.
Yeah. They got a playbook.
Yeah, Sam knew what to do for this one. Get on a fucking horse.
So
I
he
hate
does
this.
mention before he gets a horse is that he watched the guy stab a white, and the white was still able to kill him.
Just kept running down the spear pretty much. It just pushed it further in.
So I just wanted to have a mention that these whites are pretty badass.
Well, we saw it with John. Like so, like same thing. They're all following the same rules. How's that? Where they're zombies effectively.
It's weird because I feel like if it wasn't for like if it was all just the fist, it would be like a horror chapter almost. But because we get these weird flashbacks, it's like makes it like not as scary. And then even like in the horror, like he rides up to Dolores' head at one point, and Dolores' head cracks some joke like, "Oh, I'm in a nightmare. Wake me up, Sam." Which I guess, like,
right here,
I guess like isn't necessarily like a joke, but because we know Dolores' head, who's always like sarcastic, you take it as a joke.
Well, I'm having this terrible nightmare. It is kind of a joke. I mean, it's definitely comedic relief in the middle of the chapter.
Yeah. So then we see this guy that Jeff mentioned earlier, Otten Withers. He's one of the older commanders. He's there on his knees, I guess, commanding some archers.
Well, he's like shell shocked essentially on his knees. I think, right? Like he's like just overcome with grief.
I was just confused. He's mentioned with the archers, and then when he gets kicked in his head by this horse, it says
but he's just on his knees and he's staring at the chaos. It
Yeah.
says, like, I think he's just dumbfounded, shell shocked, like, and then then this horse comes out of nowhere and kicks him in the face.
Bam!
Like, why?
You gone?
It just came.
You've played Red Dead Redemption, Kyle. There's like some time Red Dead Redemption 2. There's times you just like go up to a horse and you're like, "Hey there, buddy." It'll just like fucking kick you across.
But usually that's like you go to it. Like this dude is just on the ground. This thing like comes out of nowhere. It's like, bam.
This horse wanted violence. He woke up and chose violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime somebody gets kicked by a horse, I just imagine Red Dead Redemption physics when their body goes tumbling. That's what happens with the chair.
So Mormont is like, all right, we got to go south, which they're kind of all around him. So there's like no easy way, but south, I guess, is the
It's the best way
hill.
up and down the hill.
Exactly.
So they form a spear and they just start fucking running over these whites down the mountain.
Well, before that, so while Mormont's giving commands, he gets charged by the bear. The bear was dead, pale and rotting, its fur and skin all slothed off, and half of its right arm burned to the bone, yet still it came on. Only its eyes lived, bright blue, just as John said. They shone like frozen stars. Thorin Smallwood charged, his long sword shining all orange and red from the light of the fire. His swing near took the bear's head off, and then the bear took his. So just like Thor and Smallwood gone. We lost Oz Withers. We lost Thor and Smallwood. These are two guys who were like high up there, like 2, 3. Yeah, like top 5 people in this situation.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
And then Sam's running down the mountain and gets fucking tackled off his horse.
Before that, they're just charging over the zombies. I just think it's crazy. This quote here: "They plunged down the hillside at a run, through clutching black hands and burning blue eyes and blowing snow. Horses stumbled and rolled, men were swept from their saddles, torches spun through the air, axes and swords hacked at dead flesh, and Samwell Tarly sobbed, clutching desperately to his horse with a strength he never knew he had." So they're just running these guys down. He says he sees like an other grab a saddle and rip a horse's, like they're like as they're running them down,
climbing
the hands
up
are
the
just
horse's
like
legs.
yeah. And they mentioned the crawlers coming up the hill earlier. It's just like a Call of Duty Zombies game.
Yeah, exactly. It's the guys with no legs.
You always got to leave a crawler or two.
Yeah, but then you're aiming at heads and you got the freaking guys biting your ankles.
They die eventually.
Sometimes you got to take a crawler out to survive the round. It's all part of it. And then Sam gets tackled off by a black figure.
I think somebody in black, which just means like one of the other Night's Watchmen just basically stole his horse. Yeah.
Exactly. That was definitely what happened. Mm-hmm. Was it Chet, do you think?
I don't know. We don't know if Chet's alive.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't know.
Kyle's prediction.
Yeah. I guess you can't know, or you can't tell me if you do know.
Well, again, like I said, I think the horses got redistributed. Here, Sam says they met up a little bit later, and then basically...
Yeah, but I doubt this dude was with them. He probably pieced the whole way out. I guess
you're right. He could have pieced he could have just dipped. I didn't think about that.
All right, so we now flash back out of... That's the last memory he had, right? Was laying...
Them meeting up. Them all meeting up and basically everything getting redistributed. He's like, okay, I'll get home if I just walk. That's all I got to do. Like, I don't have a horse. But all I got to do is walk, and I'll eventually make it home. And then, he comes back, and he's like... But it only took him an hour or something until he started to lag. And that was the first day. And then he comes back to now and I'm lagging still. I'm lagging now.
And now Small Paw's lagging. And they're getting left behind.
Everyone's just telling him, just leave Sam.
Yeah, like, what the fuck are you doing? Yep. Like, let him go.
I want the bird. I want a bird that can talk.
Which, I mean, is the right thing to do, right? Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
We like Sam.
I agree. It's
what did they tell you when you get on a plane? Like, help get your oxygen mask before you help somebody else.
Yeah. That's true, Nels. Good point.
You're no use to anybody.
And then they also noticed that Gren's torch is running low, and it would probably go out.
And they notice they're back.
They get left behind. Yeah. They're completely left behind. Yeah, everyone's gone now. Paul has to put Sam down. He can't do it anymore. And then it gets super cold, right?
Yep. A horse comes out of the darkness, and they see there's a moment of relief until he actually sees the horse. When he sees the head, he's like, yes. Then he sees the actual horse.
Hoarfrost covered it like a sheen of frozen sweat, and a nest of stiff black entrails dragged from its open belly. On its back was a rider, pale as ice. Sam made a whimpery sound deep in his throat. He was so scared he might have pissed himself all over again, but the cold was in him, a cold so savage that his bladder felt frozen solid. The other slid gracefully from the saddle to stand upon the snow. Sword slim it was, and milky white. Its armor rippled and shifted as it moved, and its feet did not break the crust of the new fallen snow.
Yep. So Paul gets ready to fight. Got to give Paul some respect.
Well, fuck, they killed Monty's horse. We need to...
Never heard Monty before, but he's in the notes now.
Why'd you hurt that horse? That was Monty's horse.
I think I said this before. I think Small Paul's got a little bit of Lenny.
Of Mice and Men. Yeah,
Lenny
I was just going to say that. You definitely mentioned that last time you just mentioned.
He seems like a nice guy. I like him.
I think the description of the other is pretty cool. Like, it's got sweet armor. And we saw a little bit of maybe in the very first one, chapter.
Yeah. I was going to read about a quote here if you guys want.
Go for it, dude.
But yeah, basically, before the quote, Sam grabbed for his sword. Not there. Kyle mentioned this earlier. Like, kind of maybe that's a plot. Clearly it's a plot device, because if it would have been there, then who knows? Well, to be fair, we've never seen anybody hit another with a normal sword. It might work. It might have worked fine.
Well, didn't he just hit him with an axe?
Well, I think he said it steps to the side. We'll read it in a sec, but I think he steps to the side of it. And then basically Gren starts thrusting at him with his torch, and that's where I have it. Did I miss the description, Jeff? I have the quote starting with the other sword gleamed. Did you see the description before that I am skipping over?
I mean, just Kyle actually read it. Its armor rippling and shifted. And
stuff. Gotcha.
Like, I just, yeah.
So I'll start reading the quote. The other sword gleamed with a faint blue glow. It moved towards Gren, lightning quick, slashing. When the ice blue blade brushed the flames, a screech stabbed Sam's ears sharp as a needle. The head of the torch tumbled sideways to vanish beneath a deep drift of snow. The fire snuffed out at once, and all Gren held was a short wooden stick. He flung it at the other, cursing as Small Paul charged at it with its axe. The fear that filled Sam then was worse than any fear he had ever felt before, and Samwell Tarly knew every kind of fear. "Mother, have mercy," he wept, forgetting the old gods in his terror. "Father, protect me. Oh, oh." His fingers found the dagger, and he filled his hand with that. The whites had been slow, clumsy things, but the other was light as snow on the wind. It slid away from Paul's axe, armor rippling, and its crystal sword twisted and spun and slipped between the iron rings of Paul's mail. Through leather and wool and bone and flesh, it came out his back with a hiss, and Sam heard Paul say, "Oh," as he lost the axe. Impaled, his blood smoking around the sword, the big man tried to reach his killer with his hands, and almost had before he fell. The weight of him tore the strange pale sword from the other's grip. "Do it now. Stop crying and fight, you baby. Fight, Craven." It was his father, he heard. It was Alex the Thorn. It was his brother Dickon, and the boy rasped, "Craven, Craven, Craven." He giggled hysterically, wondering if they would make a white of him. A huge, fat, white, always tripping over his own dead feet. "Do it, Sam." Was that John now? John was dead. "You can do it. You can. Just do it." And then he was stumbling forward, falling more than running, really, closing his eyes and shoving the dagger blindly out before him with both hands. He heard a crack like the sound ice makes when it breaks beneath a man's foot, and then the screech so shrill and sharp that he went staggering backward with his hands over his muffled ears, and fell hard on his arse. When he opened his eyes, the other's armor was running down his legs in rivulets as pale blue blood hissed and steamed around the black dragonglass dagger in his throat. It reached down with two bone-white hands to pull out the knife, but where his fingers touched the obsidian, they smoked. Sam rolled onto his side, eyes wide as the other shrank and puddled, dissolving away. In 20 heartbeats, its flesh was gone, swirling away in a fine white mist. Beneath were bones like milk glass, pale and shiny, and they were melting too. Finally, only the dragonglass dagger remained, wreathed in steam as if it were alive and sweating. Gren bent to scoop it up and flung it down at once.
Mother, that's cold.
"Obsidian." Sam struggled to his knees. "Dragonglass. They call it dragonglass. Dragonglass." He giggled, he cried, and doubled over to heave his courage out onto the snow.
I'm so bummed that like he just like closed his eyes and lunged at this dude, right? Like, what happened? That couldn't have been it. Like, this guy, like, he just fucking smoked small Paul, and this fat dude is just like, yeah, runs at him, arms outstretched and eyes closed, and just stabs him perfectly in the throat with a weapon that can kill him with one perfect in the throat kill. It doesn't even have to be in the throat. But
I need more of like the other like was like dealing with Grant or was like looking at Grant or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Just
I feel like it
that's
doesn't
all
quite explain it enough how Sam gets away with this. But yeah.
Closed his eyes, stretched his arms out, said "fuck it."
Every squirrel finds a nut every now and again.
Stumbled. Yeah. Not to take away from Sam, but to take away from Sam. Like, that was a little weak.
Like, this thing is like another race, right? Like, I'm thinking like Lord of the Rings. This is like
it has
an elf
bones and stuff,
or like a
it's
Balrog,
weird.
or like it's like a whole other race. Like, it's not like a dead person.
And it's like the Wicked Witch of the East.
Yeah, it's just west
It's
or
west.
west.
Is it
It's just
west?
water, is what I was
Water.
gonna say. Yeah, that's what I was trying to
Just
say.
melting away.
Yeah,
Blue blood.
even its bones are water.
Yeah. And blue blood. Weird.
It is
And
weird.
the armor, it's not like the armor stays there. The
armor seems like
melts
part
too.
of
Part
it
of him,
almost,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than the show now, so right? How it doesn't melt in the show. I think it explodes.
Yes. It's a lot. There's this whole thing is very different than in the show. I don't want to go into too much.
I don't want to
Yeah.
get into it
At
either.
least with
I'm
Kyle,
just saying
but yeah.
the death of
Yep.
the other.
I do like the noise though. How like when he stabs it, it sounds like a man stepping on
Yeah.
ice. And like they talked about how like in the first, not here, but in the very first chapter after the prologue, they actually like talk to each other because multiple others surround Waymar Royce in that first chapter. And it says like they had a language that sounded like ice crackling on a winter lake. And it says like Will didn't understand it, but he could tell it was mocking. Like they were like somehow laughing at him, but like it was like a laughing that sounded like crackling of a broke. So like him getting stabbed even sounds like ice, which I guess makes sense if he's actually made of ice, like breaking.
How about the guy too? And this was earlier on the description. He didn't leave marks in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just lands, doesn't break the crust.
Pretty dope.
I mean, he's just part of the snow of some sort.
It just
you know?
makes me think. I've seen this like reaction. I've seen these people like a video of people reacting to Lord of the Rings, and someone it's like a husband and wife, and he's like, "Oh, what are elves? I don't understand. Like, how are elves different?" He's like, "Oh, they have like powers." And she's like, "What kind of powers?" He's like, "Oh, they can walk on top of snow." He's like, "Oh, and they're immortal." And she's like, "Why wouldn't you lead with that? Like, what do you mean they can walk on top of snow?" It's because there's one scene where Legolas is like not breaking the snow when everybody else is. That's all I think of now when I hear like even the others walking on snow. But yeah, they're like elves from Lord of the Rings.
So So Gran right here, like this is we kind of we led into this, right? The whole sode has been leading into this, but like Gran has some respect for Sam. He's like, man, you fucking killed another man.
Yeah,
He's like, you are no longer a coward. You killed
got
that
the
dude.
coolest.
Like,
You did the coolest thing out of all of us.
Yeah.
It's like Brick killed a guy, right? Like it's kind of the same thing. Like it's like holy shit, man. Sam's tough now. Like he's one of us. Like he fucking killed him.
Yeah, to that point, I think the whole point of the chapter is kind of be like Sam, like even like the self-confessed, the whole chapter is like, I'm so weak, I'm so fat, I'm good for nothing, just let me die. And then here he's done something that like people haven't even seen others in thousands of years. God knows the last time somebody killed another, if anybody's ever killed another. And here we go, we got Sam, right? Not Jon Snow, not Corn Halfhand, not Old Bear, Sam.
Yeah, he gives him the dagger back, and he's like, "No, you keep it." And he's like,
I actually wanted to look this up, and I forgot. When Jon found all the dragon glass daggers, Gren has to have one of these things, right?
Yeah, they handed them out.
Like
they?
Sam and Gren had to be two top people getting them. I know.
Yeah,
Mormont.
I'm sure Gren was probably like, I'll use my actual steel. Like they probably thought like the steel was better, right? They didn't know that it was gonna melt this fucking other. This wasn't in the playbook, right? To Kyle's point earlier.
Yeah,
this wasn't in the playbook.
Yeah.
So now they need to update the playbook.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and somebody did, right?
What do you mean?
That's why they found him in a pile.
Oh, yeah.
Buried.
Somebody wanted it to be in the playbook.
Somebody was
but
trying to
they
update
never
their
got there.
playbook. Yeah.
Which, like, in the other side of this, right? Like, is I think Sam says something about the horn, right? So, like, it's what is the horn? Is the other question.
Oh well, yeah. You're saying when they found the dragon glass was also a broken horn.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Sam puts in his pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, here it is. It's got to do something, right? Like, it can't be nothing.
The horn, the broken horn.
Yeah, you should blow it, man.
Well, it's broken. I think they did try and blow it, but they said no sound would come out.
Okay.
Yeah. So then Dawn comes up, and they're like, I guess they were heading east. I don't know. They were either heading
like,
east
we
or
can
west,
catch
right?
back
They're either
up, man.
going to Dawn or they're going away from it.
So if they catch back up, they have this information. Like you said, they handed out a bunch of this dragon glass before. Like they might be able to start a fight of some sort here. However, like does dragon glass do the same thing to the whites?
That's a really good question. I was gonna say the same thing. And like, does fire do the same thing to the others? Because like the other,
He didn't give a shit.
well, he took care of Gren's torch though.
Yeah, true, but I mean, like it wasn't like that scary. It took him 2 seconds and it was over with. You know.
The other question, like to your point, like how did like Sam kill this thing? It doesn't really make sense. I'm assuming all this stuff's happening way faster. But to that point, like he wouldn't just slice Gren's torch and just like stand there and wait for Paul to charge him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's probably slicing Gren's torch while Paul's charging him.
Yeah,
And then like
yeah,
he's
and then
losing
Sam's
his
charging
sword.
as well.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that, but like it doesn't make
That's
sense
fair.
any other way. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
The other point that needs to be mentioned is Gren is the only one that can actually validate this story. So
yeah, they're gonna get back and be like, "Oh, Sam killed another," and be like, "Okay,
they're
yeah,
like, fuck off, Gren.
How many days were you awake in a row? Okay, yeah, sure. Sam killed another,
But he did.
but he did. We know.
Maybe we don't like. I mean, back to the whole.
Unreliable.
We don't know if
narrator.
this has been a day or not. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's just fucking fever dreaming in the snow. All right.
Yeah.
Kyle, predictions on Sam and Gren's path, or just the Night's Watch, or what's next for them all? With
I will say it's interesting, just like on like a meta level. While Kyle's thinking, it's interesting that we now have an. I feel like we almost needed a POV like Sam, so that we have eyes on the Night's Watch again. We got invested in the Night's Watch storyline, and then Jon fucked off, and it's like, okay, well, we also care. We still care about what's happening with the Night's Watch. Jon wasn't the only person there we cared about.
So that's kind of what I was going to say, right? It's like I feel like Sam and Jon have to get back together at some point. Like this Mormont crew is no longer anywhere near strong enough to do anything, and the wildlings are right there. Like they can't be that far from them at this point, right?
Well, what was John's? How did John's chapter end? Do you remember?
No,
They find the fist, and then Mormont's like, "All right, Jon, you're going over the wall."
not Mormont. Mance.
Mance is like, "All right, Jon, you're going over the wall. We're gonna see if you're really real. You're going with
and if not, you're just
Jarl
gonna
and
fall off.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Nine North End or some subset, and you're going over the wall." So
Yeah, maybe they run into him out there or something, but I don't know. That kind of puts him in an even harder spot, right? Like if Jon runs into them and he's with wildlings. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's what's going to happen. I'm going to make a prediction. I got to make some sort of prediction. So
Jon and Sam find each other on opposite sides of a battlefield.
They both show up at the same door to the castle.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
Do you have an idea of their heading of where they're heading? Like, do you think they're going Castle Black, Shadow Tower, elsewhere?
well, east is to the water, isn't it? So what's that
Well,
one?
east would go to the water. That would be Eastwatch by the Sea. But
Each watch.
Eastwatch by the sea.
Fist of the First Men is kind of like equidistant between Castle Black and Shadow Tower, which is west. So they're not on the east side; they're on the west side of the north.
So where does east take them then, Nelson? Per the map.
East. Yeah. So southeast from the Fist would go towards Castle Black.
Okay, that's my prediction, and I didn't make you give me the answer. I just
Yeah, because they're going towards the sunrise, right? This hit the end.
Yeah, well, that's where they're trying to meet Mormont. Yeah, exactly. It's Castle Black. So
Before they get there, they would get to Craster's Keep.
Or maybe they go to Craster's.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the way they came.
I don't see why they would stop there though. There doesn't seem. Oh, I guess Craster's there, but I don't think that's going to help.
All right, let's wrap it up. Good work, gentlemen. We didn't go crazy. I thought we did pretty well.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Just on Sam in general, the character finally getting inside his head.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that I did know people liked him, so I guess I should have known that we'd get a point of view of him.
He's got some childhood trauma. Sam's got some shit that he needs to sit on the couch and talk to somebody about.
Well, he seems like he's gonna find his place.
I feel like you were
right?
sticking up for him a few times too. Like Jeff would be like, "Oh, I'm a Craven," and even Jeff was saying what Sam was thinking. You're like, "He's not a Craven," which he is a Craven.
I know, but I mean, you guys, nah, it wasn't even that though. It was like weak or whatever. Like I feel like he really sold himself short in this one, even before he killed the other. Like that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a big dude.
He definitely
dude,
has a self-confidence issue, but yep. All right, cool.
He was eating too many lemon pies down on Horn Hill. He should have been out in the yard practicing.
All right.
I mean, some people just like to eat lemon pies, right?
All right. Well, we'll see you in the next one with Dilly Dallying. We'll see you in the next one for Tyrion 3, I think, and we'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler.
Oh, it's
section.
a Tyrion.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kyle.
All right, later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
See you on the next one.
See you later.
For Tyrion 3. Now, on to the spoiler section. Jeff, what we got?
I ain't got shit, man. I ain't got no hot takes.
Yeah, I actually really don't have that much. I was just thinking that maybe we could talk about Sam's whole story. Just it's because it's the first time we've seen him, and because there's really not much else to talk about.
Yeah.
I will say
since I mentioned it in non-spoiler, let's just go over the show real quick. Like,
yeah, good point.
I think it's a really stupid scene when like the whites are walking around him.
So for huge, I totally agree. That's the end of a season, right? Like they leave Sam. They're like digging like latrine pit. There's no fight at the Fist of the First Men. It's like him, Gran, and Pip, or him, Gran, and Ed digging latrine pits. Horn blast. They run. He trips. And then the horses come, and the other looks at him,
and they just walk around. Yeah,
and then I think he kills the other when he's with Gilly.
So like he must run ahead of the Night's Watch, grab Gilly, and keep running. Which
to me is a huge thing because like I feel like a big theory that I've like foundational for me that I thought was both show and books was that others were like it was very possible that they were after Gilly's baby was the whole thing. Right. And if there's never like an other coming to get Gilly's baby when Sam's with her, like what is there really any evidence for that other than I mean they probably like the babies because Craster gives them out
just because they can restock.
So what do you remember what happens? Sam does kill somebody when he's with Gilly.
I mean they flock the tree and then another comes and he stabs him in the belly, right? Or it's Cold Hands.
Small Paw. White Small Paw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, breaks in and tries to attack
that.
Gilly. And that's who I think Sam kills. Or maybe Gilly kills. I'm not actually sure. But that's who attacks later. But yeah, it's interesting.
Wow, no, I didn't remember that at all. That's really funny.
Yeah, like, come on. You should burn him. You could have burned him right now. Saved yourself the trouble.
Well, they were out of fire. They were out. The torch got chopped.
I just thought that was interesting.
So to your point, though, and Kyle kind of asked it, like, they could have maybe stabbed it. Maybe he wasn't turned yet, so it wouldn't matter. Like they could have maybe tried to drag glass stab him.
I guess another thing Kyle said that I'll touch on real quick is the horn, Sam's horn.
Yeah, it's a good catch, Mike. I didn't know if you were purposely skipping over it when you mentioned what he was packing
Well, I
up.
didn't want to mention what he was packing up because none of it really seemed like important, but I kind of touched on it a little bit. That way, if Kyle had any thoughts about the horn, I figured he would have brought him up there. He didn't bring him up there. He brought him up later on. Cool, he brought it up. It's one of those things where like I almost felt like I could have been like, yeah, people wonder if like, or I would have at least, what I was thinking of saying was, oh, have we heard of any like crazy horns recently? Because we heard about John mentioned it multiple times.
I was surprised that he didn't mention the John chapter.
Like, do you think it? I mean, you didn't say it either, and you were probably thinking it, but like, I was almost going to say, like, did you remember that? Would that have been a spoiler? Us saying that to Kyle?
Well, doesn't
because we don't know. Like,
no, it's just one of those things that like he read over. Because didn't Mance even say like I have a horn?
Not yet. He will say that. So like but not yet.
We know that there's 2 horns out there. Mance thinks he has the one. Sam has this broken one.
Well, I think Mance has a big one.
I don't remember them trying to blow it, but
I think Mance eventually shows the one John has, and it's big, like the one Euron has.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird because like we're only halfway through. We're about halfway. I should actually look up. We're probably really close to exactly halfway through number of chapters wise through the books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're about to get fucking long then.
Well, it's because the Feast of Crows, there's only like 46 chapters. Yeah, the Feast of Crows ones are really long. But like we can say we have 2.5 books to go, but that's not quite true. Like for each character, we really only have a book and a half because Dance and Feast are split character.
We're not going to see Sam for a while.
Exactly. So like when we talk about this horn, like, oh, we have 2.5 books of info that Kyle doesn't have. In terms of Sam's story, we really don't know that much more. And especially in terms of this horn, Sam just carries it around for the next book. And like, and
he ends up going to Old Town.
It's with him in Old Town. Like that's all we know. That's really all we know is that he still has it. And
which to my thought on that was just how long it took him to get to Old Town. It's not like the show where he just shows up in Old Town in an episode. They're going to need something else to get through the wall. Well, I guess it's John's partnership, right? John's going to partner. Is John going to come back to life and bring the wildlings just through it?
Well, they're already through. Wildlings already through.
What's going to get the White Walkers through the wall?
We don't know yet.
If it's not
a dragon,
a fire dragon.
We don't know. And that's where the horn... And again, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why my whole point about talking about the horn is like, could we have talked about what we're talking about right now with Kyle? Like, is it a spoiler for us to say, hey, nothing happens with this horn for a book and a half, and we're pretty much in the same camp as you? Like, let's all talk about it right now.
Well, let's even think about where the 2 horns that, like, all right, Mance is alive, so that was a big ass horn. Both horns might have either be destroyed or south of the wall. So
I think they might have burned that horn when they were letting all the wildlings in. I don't know if you remember when they let all the wildlings in, all the wildlings had to take a piece of weirwood branch and basically like burn it to symbolize that they're like accepting the new Melisandre gods. And I wouldn't be surprised if I feel like they did burn the horn then, or maybe they burned the horn like when they burned Rattleshirt disguised as
I'd be
Mance.
curious to see, like, I hope they burned it, because if it's just laying there on the side of the wall and that's actually the horn that's going to get the others through it.
Well, most people don't think that the horn that Mance has is the actual horn, but I think he tells John, like, hey, I have this horn. I don't want to blow it, because the only reason I want to come on that side of the wall is because I want to escape the others. And by blowing the horn, if that brings the wall down,
the others will get through
then
too.
Cool, I'm further south, but I'm not really escaped the others still. So yeah, the other thing was at the end of the chapter, their salvation
was Dawn. Yeah, Dawn's a big one. So that is one thing that
pink light, Dawn. I don't really Dawn. Like literally Dawn, Sam, Dawn. Is Sam
is he
Azor High?
What if Sam was actually Ashara Dane's kid, and that's why Randall never really liked him, because he knew it wasn't his?
So I will say a weird thing with the whole Sam lineage. When I was doing links in the notes, Sam's mom is Lord Alistair Florent's daughter.
Oh. So
Sam's grandpa is the hand of the king to Stannis.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Correct me in the comments if that.
But Stannis is going to be, or I guess Sam's.
Yeah, and his dad.
They're together,
Lord
right?
Alistair might be here. I'm not sure. I don't ever remember that being like in conversation. Like, hey, grandpa.
Like, yeah, exactly. He'd been like, oh, that's my.
But that's
family.
what my notes say. So correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But that's what I got.
Maybe George forgot.
No, George doesn't forget.
I don't know. It sounds like something that he forgot.
But yeah, so I guess the other thing is we can just kind of talk about Sam's story, and we kind of been talking about it a little bit, like as we've been just discussing here. But yeah, pretty much from here he goes.
Well, and just the Night's Watch too. Like the Night's Watch is heading to Crasher's Keep, right?
Yep. Kyle's kind of
and somebody kills. Do they kill him?
kill who? Mormont?
The old bear?
Yeah, Mormont mutiny happens. It's funny because one of the things that Sam mentions early here is that a guy named Black Bernard broke his ankle. And I'm pretty sure when there's a part when they're at Craster's where they burn somebody. Somebody was injured and they thought they were going to get better and they didn't get better and they end up killing them. And I think it's Black Bernard. It's just weird because when they burn their body, Sam thinks like has been starving for so long that he thinks like, oh, it smells like pork, and he's like, oh, Bernard never smelled this good, or something like that. It's just weird like that like we're mentioning these people that are getting injured now that are going to be dying along this way. But yeah, there's the mutiny at Craster's Keep. He escapes with Gilly. Cold Hands meeting. Bran encounter. That'll all be this book. The Bran encounter will probably be the end of this book. That's around the same time John's getting back to Castle Black. John, I think, might get there before Sam does. I don't even actually know if Sam's at Castle Black for the battle that takes place. He might not be there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he comes up and under at Knight's Fort and then walks on the south side of the wall to Castle Black from Knight's Fort.
And John's there.
Might already be at Castle Black by then when he gets there. But he gets there, and then it's weird because we get, I think Feast of Crows, we get Sam chapters. Yeah, we do. We get Sam chapters because the end of Feast of Crows is Sam showing up in Old Town, right? Because the beginning of Feast of Crows is Pate, is the Pate chapter where he meets Jaqen, the alchemist. And in the end, Pate gets killed in the prologue, and then the end of Feast of Crows,
and Sam meets Pate,
exactly,
which is Jaqen,
probably Jaqen. So that's, and then like you said, kind of mentioned earlier, basically in between there is John commanding Sam, you got to go to Old Town.
With the baby.
That's
not Gilly's
That's not Gilly's baby. Yep. So then he goes and Maester Aemon. So then he goes to Bravos, sees Arya, ends up in Old Town, and then he's pretty much not in Dance because the way the character split is. So that's pretty much Sam's story.
There's a lot of goofy shit with the wall, man. Just like the Val of it all, the babies of it all, the Mance is still alive of it all. Like that shit's wild. Where the story can actually go.
Yeah, and something that's like different than the show others-wise is like there's no Night's King in the books yet.
Right.
Like we hear of the Night there's no Night King.
The Night.
We hear of the Night's King in the future in a coming up brand chapter. But yeah, so far no like nothing that we know of in terms of like leader. We also don't know that like when you stab, like when Sam killed this guy, did a bunch of whites fall down somewhere?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
I hope so.
That'd be super badass, but we have no idea if that's true. You know what I mean? Like if that's how that was a show thing.
Right. I think that's actually cool for this part. Like,
what do you mean?
Like they still are learning. Like, all right, now we know that we can stock up Dragonglass, and like maybe if there is just like a knowledge of the others too, they're like, all right, we have to kind of pull back a little bit. We can't be as ballsy. We'll send our whites out, and us others will chill just in case of this happen, because maybe they're smart too. We just see the evolution of both sides gearing up for war, and then we end at Winterfell, and Arya kills the boss.
Yeah, I feel like there's a quote. I forget who it is. I feel like it's somebody who does like famous horror stuff. I want to say it's maybe H.P. Lovecraft, but that might not be wrong. But somebody says like the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown or something like that, which is like, yeah, if you know everything about how the others work, they become way less scary, right? It's like,
because you can start planning for it. Like even if it's like almost impossible, like we've played some pretty good football teams in our lifetimes, and you still come up with a plan. You're like, all right, like if this, you start to believe in it. If this plan goes to the way we want it, we can win the game.
But if you never had seen film, like where do you even
if you
start?
got no film and you know the team is the number one team, you're fucked.
Yeah, you don't have a roster. You don't know how big they are. Don't know what they weigh. Don't know what formation. You're screwed. Like at least you can have a game plan. So, but yeah. That's it. Not much else to talk about here. We'll see you guys on the next one. Keep the spoiler section short. Tyrion 3. See you guys then.
Tyrion 3.
Bye-bye.
Bye.